Hi there YouTube, welcome back to a, I guess it's kind of an update video. Now, I can't remember if I actually said it on video, but I've basically been trying to forcefully take a break from painting Napoleonics. To tell the truth, I haven't really got any sort of plans, projects that were outstanding. Now I did have those two cavalry elements that I wanted to do, and they're probably going to be just carried across into like my my next project when I ready to announce that. Now I have kind of even though I haven't been painting Napoleonics, Napoleonics have been heavily on my mind. I've been sort of seriously thinking about what I wanted to do next. Now, I suppose the biggest thing that kind of sort of jumped into my mind while I was thinking was that because of Third Corps now, it leaves my British really quite seriously outnumbered. So I really want to do some kind of British stroke Allied type project. And after much thought and looking through various books and orders of battle, etc., etc., I have actually now decided what I'm going to do, and I'll probably just do a video of that on its own fairly soon. Probably maybe a couple of weeks' time, something like that. I'm still kind of looking into the logistics of it. I think that it's going to be an extremely expensive project because there's basically no sort of plastic miniatures. However, I think there are some plastic troops in the works from a certain manufacturer. Now, obviously, I'm not going to try and spoil what the project is, so you're going to have to wait for that video. However, in the meantime, I have literally been doing just about every piece of randomized trash you could possibly think of from my mountain. Now I take trash in the most likeable way, because obviously a lot of these figures I do actually quite like. It's just that I just haven't got them. Not Napoleonics, and they're kind of very niche. But I mean, certainly my painting level, or my painting output has suffered. I find that when it comes to painting figures that are more individual, I seem to really struggle with painting figures that are all different colours and stuff, and not very uniform. They take me a lot longer to do. I paint in a lot shorter sessions, and the amount of figures I've got to show you is probably about 3-ish, 4-ish weeks worth of work. And to tell the truth, it's not really that many figures for that sort of length of time of work. Now I have been plagued with some leg problems in that time. I mean, at the moment, there's my leg's screwed up again, so I'm unable to walk. I'm basically on a crutch and a stick, and it's extremely annoying. And I'm hoping that'll be getting better soon. That'll certainly improve my motivation. I'm finding it very difficult to basically hop around on one leg. Also, I basically woke up about a week ago and somehow managed to pull a tendon or sprain my ankle or twist my ankle or do something to my right ankle, which of course is my good leg, in my sleep. So I've been really struggling moving around because not only is my leg refusing to lock straight, so I can't walk, but also my right leg, which is obviously my good leg, is it's got basically the equivalent of a sprained ankle. So it's extremely uncomfortable to hop around on, basically, and that has definitely affected my my motivation, and also sort of willpower to actually, you know, take the effort and the pain to actually hop in here, and then try and you know, and then literally struggle to try and decide what colours to paint figures that are basically all individual and different. Now, I think we're going to start with. I'm not, I suppose they're not really in order, but at the same time, it's kind of I suppose a rough order. Now let me just sort a few things out here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Right. So first thing, I'm trying to do this in time order. Now I suppose the first things that I painted, I'm going to bring them all in one lot. It's basically this stuff here. So we're talking real randomized stuff here, although I suppose you could say that all of this stuff is kind of designed for the same game, even though the elements come from, or, you know, aren't necessarily designed for that game. But I still quite enjoyed painting them all the same. So first up we have basically all this stuff is going to be mainly used for core space. However, obviously a lot of the stuff comes from different elements. So we're just going to start off with this like randomized droid. This is actually like a Mantic model. It came from a board game called Star Saga, which I basically picked up really cheap a couple of years ago, literally to pillage the models. This is one of the, I think this is one of the character models, but I've decided to use him as like a medical bot. So yeah, I was pretty chuffed with how this guy turned out. Very simple paint job, but I think he looks great, and he'll definitely look cool for his purpose, which, like I said, is going to be like a medical droid. But yeah, pretty chuffed with how he turned out. Then we have this figure here, who you may recognise as April O'Neil figure. This is a Brother Vinny's figure, based on April O'Neil. They do like a Turtles line. Now I do have another version of her as well. But that's not fit for camera purposes. But it's basically her being kidnapped, and she's basically sort of tied up and stuff. But yeah, very, very cool figures. And like I say, I always really enjoy painting female figures. You know, the sort of different skin tones and stuff. And although she's not quite animated series accurate, she's pretty close. I think the main difference is that I've given her black boots rather than I think the original animated one had like white boots, but they were a different type of boot. So I decided, that's why I decided to give her black boots. But yeah, she's basically going to be like an intergalactic reporter. There is actually rules for sort of NPC camera crews within core space now. So she'll definitely fit in to one of those crews pretty well, I'd say, and that's a very cool figure. So that is April O'Neil, or an April O'Neil figure. Very cool. Next up, we have another Brother Vinny's figure. Now this figure is literally just called Captured Princess, and now you can probably immediately guess who this is based on. It's obviously based on Leia's slave girl outfit from Return of the Jedi. Again, a really nice figure to paint up, and obviously I decided to change the colours on her bikini. So we've got kind of a sort of a blue-grey colour going on the bikini part, and then we've got a sort of a purple going on, which actually looks more like a light blue actually on camera, but it's actually a purple. And yeah, I think it's a really cool figure actually. Very delicate. There's actually like 3 pieces here. So there's basically the arm with part of the chain, and then a little tiny piece of chain that comes off that connects to a little piece that just bends over a hand there. So very, very fiddly figure. You've got to kind of be real careful with how you handle her and stuff. I mean, it is super glued on. I mean, it's fairly sturdy, but you wouldn't want to hit it by accident or dare say drop her. But yeah, very cool figure. Another brilliant female figure from Brother Vinny's. Again, to be used for core space. There is like a bar, like a ganger's bar, which she'll be perfect in. And then finally we have probably my favourite thing that I've painted out of all the stuff that I've done over the last sort of three and a half weeks. And these are the Brother Vinny's Rocksteady and Bebop figures, which are absolutely amazing. They're obviously most Brother Vinny figures are made of resin. These two being prime examples. Now I did actually find a site that sells Brother Vinny figures over here in England. They're pretty comparable price, but obviously the postage is cheaper. But the downside is that they don't have the entire range, unfortunately. I mean, I suppose at the end of the day, you're only sort of paying. I mean, I don't know how much postage has gone up since the last time I actually ordered something direct from Brother Vinny's, but I don't think it was particularly expensive back then. So I can't imagine it being more than £1 or £2 more expensive today. Yeah, I mean, there are. You know, I've definitely got my eyes on getting perhaps the Shredder figure, and possibly maybe the turtles as well. Because like I say, I do really like these this line. Now I'll give you a closer look at these guys. Now this is Rocksteady. He is a Mutated Rhino. Really cool figure. Obviously it's not licensed, but you can tell it's him. Comes with a separate knife and separate arms that you obviously have to stick on. Really beautiful sculpted figure. Lots of character. I did, you know, sort of looked up the colour schemes on the internet for like the 80s cartoon. There's several different variations on these chaps throughout time. These are kind of more based on the original sort of 90s cartoon series. Yeah, I was really chuffed with how these guys came out. The greys on the rhino's skin, the different browns on his trousers and boots, it all really all came together, and I was really happy with how this chap turned out. So that is Rocksteady, and now he's obviously going to be destined to become a ganger in core space. Maybe sort of a ganger's bodyguard, something like that. But yeah, very cool figure. And of course, now we have his hog-esque partner, Bebop, who is basically a boar. Again, I was really happy with how this guy turned out. He's kind of completely based on the animated character. The only thing I think is just a little bit different is what I decided to choose for their sort of turtle shells on both of them. Again, you can come across all sorts of different variations of colours for those particular turtle shells. I decided to go for like I think it was desert yellow and then like a what did I use for the green? I think I used Africa core green on the actual hard parts of the shell. And yeah, I managed to sort of nail the correct purple for his mohawk and his sunglasses. If you want to know what that colour is, it is, can I find it? It's definitely in here somewhere. It's Vallejo Model Air. It could be Alien Purple or Alien Violet. Hold on a second. I'll find it. Here we go. It is Alien Purple, Vallejo Game Air Alien Purple, and that's actually the same purple that I use for my my fourth company Napoleonics too, my French fourth company purple pom-poms. So that is Rocksteady and Bebop, and I'll just bring them back in. I think one of the coolest things that I managed to nail on this guy is his boar skin colour. I think I can't remember exactly how I managed to mix it up, but I started off with a colour Nocturna base. Is it base flesh? Let me just got it around here somewhere. Yeah, I think it's. Hold on, where are we? Yeah, I think. I don't know. I'm confused now. Yeah, I think I used Nocturna, Vallejo Nocturna natural flesh mixed in with a little bit of English uniform, just to give that sort of slightly brown tinge to the skin. It's basically a very similar colour to what that I used to paint my Japanese in, but just a little bit darker. And I suppose it could also be used for like Indian skin tone as well. That sort of Asian type Indian skin. But yeah, I was really chuffed with how this guy turned out, and particularly like the way his sneakers came out, his trainers, with the two-tone white and red. Yeah, so that is Bebop. I did really enjoy painting those guys. Okay, next up, what did I do next? Then I decided to paint a whole bunch of Spectre figures that I had. I've had these guys sitting around for a while. I ended up painting 3 groups. This was the first group. I'll bring them into the screen. Now obviously Spectre is a modern, practically modern, it's practically up to date, modern skirmish game, using like special forces, terrorists, insurgents, etc, etc. You can basically use whatever you want. These are the figures that are actually produced by the company itself. Now I've temporarily forgotten what these guys are actually called, but they're basically meant to be like the equivalent of a sort of terrorist organisation's elite fighters, which basically kind of more or less just work out as being oh, here we go, here's the box. These guys are called, here's their box, Insurgent Kill Team. So like I say, these guys are basically like meant to be the special forces of a sort of terrorist organisation, but actually in reality they're basically no better than a your average professionally trained soldier. Obviously they try to look flashy by dressing up in like modern camouflage and wear, you know, uniformed items, and you know, all have the same beanies on and all that sort of stuff to try and make themselves look bigger and harder than they actually are. But yeah, that's basically who these guys are. Now I didn't follow the paint scheme on these guys. These guys are, the ones on the box here are modelled in a sort of fake Marpat, which of course is the US Marine Corps desert uniform. What I decided to do was to base my camouflage on that Russian desert camouflage, the one that was experimental and never really widely issued. And I think they came out pretty cool. Very basic paint job really. They've all got black armour and webbing. They've obviously got the sort of this more of a sort of Russian splotch camouflage, and they've got a sort of modern up-to-date AKs with red dot sights and sort of like you know, 3 times magnification sights in their rifles and torches and stuff. But yeah, I'll just give you a quick run through them all. So there's this chap. There's this guy. This guy. Just run through them quickly because obviously they're all in the same uniform, so it doesn't really make too much difference. But yeah, they were quite good fun to paint. I do actually really like the look of Spectre Ops. I've never actually had a game of it, but I've watched many battle reports and I've had both versions of the rules. It's one of those games that's actually it's a little bit difficult to get into, but it's a really easy game to play once you know what you're doing. I do actually have the starter set, which is actually a really good deal. These guys actually come in the starter set, along with some really cool terrain, and also what I'm going to show you next, which is the US Navy SEALs team. Now again, these guys, on their artwork of their box, they come in their sort of desert-esque type camouflage. I decided to do them in multicam, and so again you get 6 figures, but in this particular one you get a dog handler. And again, I'll just quickly run you through them. So we have this. I guess this guy's the team leader. I was pretty chuffed with how the multicam came out. So him, we have this guy with a handheld grenade launcher. We have this guy's the dog handler, I believe. He's got a MP7 rather than an M4 or an H416. And then his dog here. Then we have another operator with just an M4. And finally, we have the guy with the saw, the support gunner. Very cool. Then we have the final group of Spectre guys that I painted up. Now these guys are an SAS counter-terrorism team. Again, 6 figures. I'm not sure which guy's supposed to be the team leader in this one, but perhaps this guy. So these guys come with sort of black jumpsuits, face mask, half respirators, tactical goggles or glasses, and regular sort of multicam style gear. So belt and plates. And obviously using Molly, they've got like their various magazine pouches and stuff on the front, and that's all in a sort of multicam, and now British style multicam, which is slightly different from the American version. We call it MTP, I believe. So that is the squad leader. Then we have this chap here. Now I think the main difference between these and the other SAS team we can get, which is the more sort of general combat version, is that they're obviously wearing camo uniforms and not sort of jumpsuits, and also you get a saw gunner in with that team, where these guys you get they're all armed with M4s or 416s or whatever rifles they decide to use. They're probably some sort of custom rifle knowing the SAS. But yeah, very cool figures. I did quite enjoy painting them up. Obviously, you could say, well, they're kind of boring because they're just wearing like more or less just black jumpsuits. But I think they're really cool figures, and I think because of that you kind of enjoy painting them. But yeah, really looking forward to having a game of Spectre at some point. Obviously the other Spectre figures I've got are unfortunately a whole bunch of sort of like insurgents and like modern Russians, which is not exactly the flavour of the day at the moment. But yeah, it's nice to have some more Spectre figures up. And like I say, because I've got the starter box, I can perhaps quite easily have access to having a first game, because that comes with sort of like a sort of an introduction to play sheet. So that is all of the Spectre figures that I've painted. They took me probably a good week to paint. Like I say, I'm not particularly painting fast at the moment. Now the final, we have one last sort of military-esque type figure creeps in. Now this is I think it's just basically called a military gunship pilot. The figure actually comes from Gringo 40, I think from one of their sci-fi ranges. Now I do actually have the civilian version of this same figure, which is this person here, and you can see that there's they're pretty similar, but obviously the heads are a little bit different. In fact, actually I think the head's more or less the same, it just hasn't got the glasses on. And obviously wearing a slightly different uniform, and the hand is just a little bit different. And she has her pistol on her front there, where she has her pistol on a drop down. But yeah, again, I picked up these two figures because I thought I could use them for NPCs in core space. But obviously only one of them has been painted, and I decided to paint her in multicam to go along with one of the sort of the shock tombs that I've added, the Galactic Core ERT response teams, which are basically like the equivalent of militarized SWAT, which can appear in various games, either on your side or against you. But yeah, pretty chuffed with the way that her camouflage came out. A pretty cool figure. So that is all of that stuff out of the way. Now the final thing I did was I basically had these two expansion packs from Core Space. I think I got these last summer when they came out. Just to zoom out a little bit. So the first box was called Black Star Rising. Now this box is kind of a re-release. The box that came out before it, which I've actually it slipped my mind what it was called, but it was basically another box of civilians. I think you can. I think you find a video on them if you sort of go back through my collection of videos. Now the reason why they re-released this box again was that the original models, of which I'll just grab one actually. I can see them around here. Here we go. Here's one. So this is one of the characters from that original pack. Now, when they released this particular pack, all of these guys were made out of resin, and they were all multi-part, which was really fiddly. Now, the thing about Core Space is that it kind of falls in a niche where it's basically it counts as a board game, but also counts as a miniatures game, and because of that you get high percentages of people that like board games playing this game, as well as people that that actually paint miniatures as a hobby as well. The figures are beautiful. I mean, these resin ones are exquisite. But yes, I do definitely agree. They're definitely fiddly in comparison to like one part ready-made sculpts. And the reason was you got such a massive amount of flack from people saying that they were too fiddly to put together. They're too difficult. I basically want to play a board game. I don't want to sit there trying to stick together models, etc., etc. The sort of people that we're talking about. and yeah, they basically discontinued them. Now the annoying thing about this was that the other pack that they produced, which was basically Rogue Purge, they also got discontinued, and I was unfortunately unlucky enough not to get that box. So now you can basically hardly find those guys at either of those two box sets anywhere, and they're basically out of print. So what Core Space did, or Battle Systems, is they brought out a new pack of civilians, which was essentially exactly the same as the original set, but with 4 figures instead of 6, but 4 new figures. So if you happen to get the original pack with the 6 individual characters, you now get another 4 civilians to add to your civilian collection for NPCs. Now, like I say, most of the stuff that came in this was an exact duplicate of what came in the original box. So you got the same counters, the same activation cards, the same rules. I think that the only thing that changed in the rules was some of the artwork. Obviously, the artwork changed to reflect these characters or the ones that are in the original set. And of course, their actual character cards, which I will run through as I go through the figures. Now, the second box, which is called Wanted Dead or Alive, this kind of covers bounty hunters and also a new type of character, which is companion characters, which are basically all of these things here. Now, again, a really cool box set. This is obviously a new box set. Yeah, I was, when I sort of finished the sort of Spectre guys, I thought, you know what, I'm going to paint these guys up, and that helps clear the backlog of my Core Space stuff, so that basically the only Core Space stuff I've got left is now the massive Kickstarter that came back in December. So let's get going, and I'll show you. I'll bring in the civilians first from that Black Star Rising. So that set comes with 4 figures, and I'll just quickly whip out the character cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Oh. Drop a whole load. Excuse me, hitting the camera for a second. Gotcha. Right, sorry about that. Okay, so first up we're going to go with this chap here. He was the first guy that I painted, actually. So this is the character card that comes with him. This guy's called Harris. I think he's supposed to be like a engineer-y type guy. Now obviously the cool thing about Core Space is that even though he's designed to be a NPC, and this is his NPC card, you can actually recruit NPCs, and if you do recruit him, you flip his card over and he becomes his character version, which is obviously a lot better than his civilian version. But yeah, it's a very cool idea. This little section here pops out, and you can put, like, if he's wearing armour or whatever, you can put it into that slot. It's got all his stats and stuff on here. Yeah, Harris. So you can see that's his original artwork. I did actually change him a little bit. I think I actually really like the way that he turned out. When I started painting him, I wasn't that impressed with him, the way he was going. But in the end, I think he turned out really cool. And I think I prefer my additions to his paint scheme rather than following the exact artwork. You can see he's got like a robotic arm on his back. He's got like a big wrench. He's got practically a sort of almost like a sort of spacesuit on. So perhaps his job involves him taking multiple spacewalks during an average day outside of perhaps the station that he's on or whatever. But yeah, pretty cool character figure for an NPC. Always handy to have loads of NPCs in a Core Space game. So that is Harris. Then we have a a Scavenger. This guy is obviously again like a new character. There was 2 Scavengers in the original box. The resin boxes. Let's see if I can actually find them. There's one. Where's the other one? Ah, there she is. So these were, let's put them all together actually. So these 2 are the ones that came in the original box set. I can't remember their names offhand. But again, these guys, like I say, were resin, and you had to stick them together, and they were pretty fiddly, I've got to say. Although I am pretty experienced at sticking miniatures together, and I didn't actually have too much problems myself. But I could imagine somebody who doesn't even know what polystyrene glue sticks is sort of warrant to that sort of level of difficulty, extra level of difficulty that's not really needed for sort of a board game. I always that sort of comment will always stick in my mind. Some guy who'd brought them was wondering why polystyrene glue wasn't sticking resin miniatures together. It's you know, sometimes you sort of think, well, how can somebody actually be that naive when you've got the internet at your fingertips? So yeah, there you go. So yeah, 2 really cool figures, replaced by this guy here, if you were unlucky enough to miss those guys. This guy's called Lopey. Very cool figure. He looks a real menacing character. Scavengers kind of go around the board stealing your loot. Again, like, I haven't really used them in game, but I can imagine that being pretty annoying. But yeah, this guy's really cool, especially for like a single sculpt miniature. In fact, all the miniatures in these 2 box sets are pretty damn amazing for single sculpt miniatures. Yeah, so that's his NPC side. Is that right? That's right, yeah. That's his crew side. You can see that the crew generally have these dots that you fill in with experience, and then obviously these are levels on each of his skills. But yeah, that's Lopey. Pretty cool. He's kind of he's not quite 100% based on the artwork, but he's fairly similar. But yeah, I was quite chuffed with how he turned out. Lots of browns and leathers and khaki and red browns, and I think I used dark rubber for his cape. It's really cool colour choice, I think. And I've given it like these orange accents as per the artwork. And I just added a little bit of yellow on his shoulder pad there, and some little yellow accents on his knee pads. Again, I think those are inspired from the artwork. But yeah, pretty cool figure. Next up, we go for the sort of the crime boss type guy. That's this chap here, Mr. Roof, or Mr. Roof. This guy is supposed to be a kind of managerial type guy, but he can also be used as a ganger. You can see he's actually marked down as a worker. Now, some of these guys, when you sort of hire them, aren't particularly amazing. Like for instance, if you hired the Scavenger, he's actually got like more career prospects than hiring this guy, who's kind of got set stats. But the cool thing about this guy is that I think you can use him as sort of like a crime boss, and I think he looked actually quite cool as a crime boss. So here's the figure. Now he's kind of based on his artwork. He's basically got 4 arms. He's really tall, really muscular, and he's got this really cool sort of, I think I used deck tan as the colour, the basis colour of his outfit. And then we have Starship Exterior, which is just a slightly greyer version of deck tan. as his trousers. And you can see that these guys have these massive blocky feet, and they come with blue skin of various shades. This guy's more of a sort of an electric blue style skin. There's actually one of the same race. Actually, is it the same race? No, it's not the same race. It's a different race. But yeah, this guy would be a really cool ganger type figure as a henchman or something, or a crime boss. Pretty basic figure, but very cool all the same. And there wasn't really someone equivalent to him in the last set. There was kind of like a more of a sort of shopkeeper alien, which is this character here. Now I'm not sure if this is meant to be the same species. I think it could be a slightly different species. Although they do have kind of similar feet, although I suppose these are more blocky. But I think this guy is the same race as one of the sort of main characters from one of the other crews, rather than this particular alien that you get a fair bit as NPCs. But you can see the sort of size difference. Not particularly massively taller, but at the same time way bulkier and stronger. So that was Mr. Ruff. Then we'll start going into the next box, which was the wanted. Oh no, we've got one more civilian to go actually. Now this is a civilian called Hovak. I think she's supposed to be like a scientist type person. That's her civilian side. That's her worker side. And let's give you a look at the miniature. Again, based on the artwork more than anything else. Really like the way that this figure came out. Like I say, I always quite enjoy painting female figures. And I was really chuffed with the colours that I chose in the end that sort of match the artwork. I think I used Mirage Blue as a basis for the sort of the bluey grey elements of a outfit. Yeah, a really cool figure actually. So that is Kovac. Next up, we'll start going on to the next box set, which is the Bounty Hunters box set. We're going to start off with the companions for these. Like I say, the companions are a new type of character introduced into the game. Now these things are basically like extra little lesser characters that you can have, that you can basically buy. I think you buy them rather than recruit them. And they kind of, I think they're auxiliaries they're called actually. And there's obviously the 5 types here. And we'll just go through them. So obviously you can see we have the 2 drones, the 2 drone type things here and here. I really like the way that these came out. They're very cool models. They come with these new flight stands as well. They're again one piece casts, and the 2 different types of drones here. We have all the 2 different types of auxiliary. We have the utility drone, which is this one here. Now it's rather strange actually. When I painted these guys up, I didn't have the card in front of me, but I think they're more metallic in the way that they've been painted on the front of the box, and I decided to paint them more in a sort of a deck tan type colour, and strangely enough, no, actually thinking about it, they're actually a little bit more metallic-y looking on the art card, but on the camera it looks as if I've kind of copied their paint scheme more or less exactly the same. But these parts here are sort of more metallic. They're not what I've done mine. But yeah, that's a utility droid. Now this guy can obviously go around repairing things. He's also got a weapon. And also the cool thing is that your auxiliaries can get experience, and when you when they fill up their experience bar, you can flip the card over and they become a upgraded utility drone. So they become a little bit better, which is a really cool idea. So that is the utility drone there. Just do a quick spin. Pretty chuffed with the way that he came out, or that came out. Then we'll go on to the gun drone, which is this here. Again, pretty similar to the artwork again, actually, even though I didn't actually look at the artwork when I was painting these. So you can see that my own sort of artistic license ended up being not too different to what the actual artwork was in the end. So this is obviously what it says on the tin. It's basically a drone that's armed with some fairly heavy weaponry. It's got 3 combat dice there. I'm not sure about the range on this boy, but again, if you can upgrade it, it's yeah, I suppose that could come in pretty handy if you were to afford to get one of these boys. So that is the gun drone. Next up, we have the two. Oh no, we've got one more robot type thing, which is this. This is called the cargo auxiliary, and this is basically like a tracked carrier of equipment. So it's basically like a travelling suitcase, an armoured travelling suitcase. I presume you can, you know, it follows you around, and you can put extra stuff inside it that you may not be able to carry in your own backpack. I'm not sure what actually gets upgraded when you upgrade it, because the stats seem to be the same. Who knows? But yeah, I decided to paint it like I decided to make it look a little bit more military-esque. So I gave it this kind of grey-black colour, sort of camouflage scheme. I think it came out pretty cool actually. Yeah, it's a pretty simple model. It's just basically a box on tracks, with an angled back and a slightly angled front. But yeah, cool little model. Then the final two auxiliaries. We're getting low on camera power here, so actually I think I might try and plug it in if I go quickly. Hold on 2 seconds. Because obviously I'd rather not run out of battery if I can possibly control that. Come on, hurry up. There we go. Saved. Right, final two auxiliaries then. So these two are living auxiliaries. We have this creature here called Gurnat, and he is a very strange little creature. He's kind of like this bipedal, almost sort of dog-esque type creature, but with 2 extra arms that can obviously hold things and be used as sort of like you know, to carry things and wear things. And then obviously he's kind of like a pack animal because he's carrying like a heavy weight, a backpack on his back. And again, this guy is more or less a walking suitcase, a bit like a sort of a native. I've forgotten what they're called now. The old sort of native weight carrier guys that carry your equipment if you're going into the jungles or whatever. And this guy seems to be very sort of similar based to that sort of scheme. Obviously, because he's got those 2 extra arms, he can carry a blaster. But yeah, very cool figure. Pretty basic paint job, I'd say. I think I only used like 4 or 5 colours on him. Red leather, leather brown, some deck tan, some green skin, army put a green skin, and a little bit of metallic and some dark rubber. So yeah, pretty simple paint job. Not quite the same match as the artwork, but I wasn't particularly planning on doing like high grade paint jobs on these guys. They're basically just painted to a nice, more or less tabletop or slightly better standard. And obviously this guy, because he's so basic, is basically more or less tabletop level, because he's not really anything super special. But you know, I'm pretty chuffed with the way he turned out. I'm certainly not disappointed by the way he came out. So that is the Gurnat, or the Gurnat. Now, I'm not sure if that's the guy's name or whether that's the type of creature. The final thing is the Assault Hound. Obviously this is more like a dog, an attack dog. I tried to base my paint scheme more or less on his artwork. You can see that I basically used a khaki as a sort of base colour. He seems to be some sort of like dog-like character, but with 6 limbs, and also like augmentation. So he's got like this steel spine. He's got some steel spikes coming out the side of his head, and then everything else is like sort of a sort of black bone. So his claws and his mandibles and etc. etc. But yeah, I was really chuffed with him. Originally, I wasn't going to try and do this sort of like veiny look on his skin, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try it. And although they're not quite as thin as they are on the artwork, I think it does the job. Makes him quite unique, and certainly turned out pretty cool in the end. So that's the Assault Hound. Now the final 2 things, basically these are the actual bounty hunters themselves. So we're going to start off with the first one. This chap here called Valian. Again, an alien from the core space universe. Now this chap is sporting a huge blaster, huge, more or less probably some sort of heavy machine gun. Now I kind of based his colour scheme a little bit on like Han Solo's outfit from Empire Strikes Back when he goes to Bespin. Only difference being is that he's got blue trousers rather than brown. But the sort of the jacket is sort of blue with sort of gold buckles. It's got like a white shirt. Then he has the blue trousers, and then he's got the sort of the brown element, which is the wraps around his legs. And he's got these giant, great like armoured boots on, and of course a backpack. And now he does actually have a shoulder-mounted gun there. And there are actually rules for those now. And of course his main gun, which looks like it's gyro-stabilised with that extra arm on the back there. So that is one of the bounty hunter characters. Really, really cool. I think I painted him towards the end. He's one of the last guys I painted, and yeah, I was really chuffed with how he came out. I must admit, I was a little bit dubious about how he was going to turn out until I finished him, and he instantly grew on me. I think he came out pretty cool. So that's what's his name? Valian. Now, obviously, Valian has a double-sided card. So there's his bounty hunter side, and flip it over, and he's got his hireable side there. That's Valian. Okay, so one more figure to go, and we're caught up. So the next figure, the final bounty hunter, is a human called Nakura. There's her bounty hunter side. Here is the figure. I suppose I sort of used the artwork as a basis, but I actually went off on my own tangent. I gotta say, I kind of changed the colour scheme a couple of times as I was painting. I think in the end I was really chuffed with the colours that I chose, in particular with this green. I think when I first painted it on, I didn't think it went with it. But then I decided to put this like green stripe on her back, and I thought, you know what, I think that green goes really well with this sort of like a cork brown. And I thought, well, it's cool, you know, giving her the sort of the green stripe on the back of the cape, and sort of like goes around to sort of like a stripe of green around her neck. But I think it just needs something more to accent it, and that's when I decided to paint these raised areas here in the same green. And I think it sort of ties it all together. And I think she turned out really cool in the end. A real sort of bounty hunter. Yeah, fairly cool figure. But yeah, so that is it. That's the sort of randomised crap that I've been painting in the last sort of 3.5 weeks or so, since I finished my sort of Team Yankee stuff. Now I'm still planning on not starting Napoleonics yet. Like I say, I will be doing a video fairly soon, basically going over my plans for my next big project. It's taken a little bit of time to work out exactly what I wanted to do. I was jumping around with sort of like 3 ideas. I finally decided upon one. Now the logistics of this particular project, like I said a little bit earlier, is going to be the main point of this particular forthcoming project. But again, I'll go into that more when I actually do the actual sort of video on that particular subject. So I'll call it a day there. This has been like a really long video actually. Yeah, thanks again for a couple of new subscribers. Really appreciate it. I understand that you know, obviously this may not be everyone's cup of tea, but at the same time it's always nice to see a little bit of variation. And as you know, that you certainly not going to have to worry for too long about new Napoleonic stuff coming out, because like I say, this new project that I've decided to do, I'm actually starting to I basically get more and more pumped up for it every day. But yeah, like I say, look forward to that video when it comes out, and until then, I'll catch you all later. Bye bye.